And can you believe we're already at episode 9? That's amazing. We have one more episode and we'll be at 10, our first 10 episodes. That's so exciting.
Excellent. I'm going to keep that and we're going to keep going.
Take one.
Excellent. All right, welcome to Black in Business, where the possibilities are limitless. I'm your host, the Eunice.
And I'm Miss G.
Come on in and join the conversation. Today we are discussing failures, failing forward. I fail forward every week on these episodes. I do. But I've also had failures in business. I've had small failures, just trip ups with a customer, little things, and I've had big failures or yeah, like not being able to get access to products to clients here where I am. That's I mean, if I felt like it took a whole chunk of my business away from me. But all is not lost. The wonderful thing about failing forward is it's not indicative of losing your business, going out of business, or not being good enough to run a business. So failing forward, what does that mean to you, Miss G?
So I would say more than anything, um, choosing not to stop. I think when you run into roadblocks or you run into hurdles, adversity, however you want to, whatever you want to name it, as long as you continue to power through, then it'll be a success. I think the only way to really um, fail backwards or not fail forward is if that stops you, because you're gonna run into things. You're going to experience some type of hardship in some way. But again, it's meant to teach you. It's meant for you to grow. I heard a very wise woman once say, "Delayed does not mean denied." So just because something doesn't happen in your time frame, or it doesn't go the way that you planned or the way that you think it should go, it does not mean that your success is denied. It doesn't mean that your business is denied. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have more clients. It doesn't mean that the clients that are meant for you are going to be deterred. So you just have to understand that you have to progress and overcome the obstacles in order to fail forward. It just means you continue to push through. Choosing to stop is not failing forward. It's allowing the failure to defeat you and allowing the failure to keep you stagnant, which neither you nor your customers will benefit from that. So
Right.
I feel like in a nutshell, that's what it is. Pressing through.
Okay. So one thing that I think we are not told as a community, because definitely we're not generally taught about business ownership. But within that, I don't think we're taught that it can take 2 to 5 years for a business to really get off the ground. We may look at year 1.5 and give up because we haven't seen the progress that we want to see. I think if I had not been taught that, if I hadn't read that, I've had enough little obstacles that could have discouraged me, especially if you're trying to do this by yourself. Thankfully, I don't have to do it alone. My business is my business, but my partners can give encouragement sometimes without even knowing it. Just having someone to discuss the business with, having someone to feed off of, to discuss the failure, and maybe come up with a different plan is a great fail forward. If for me, I can't get full size products here at the prices that it would cost, because it's not cost effective for my clients, but and my customers. But when I realized I can get a small set of full size products, break them down, and sell them, and customers actually like it and want it, and they have bought it, it works because they're getting a great product in their hand. I'm still getting to run my business in a smaller way, but I'm still getting to run it as it grows and as we get to unlock more doors. So I learned that, because even though it didn't look the way I thought it was going to look, and even though I couldn't do it the way I originally planned to do it, that there were still possibilities. So to me, that was a fail, but a fail forward.
Even to kind of break the thought process down a little bit more. When you're doing anything else outside of a business, school, a job,
Mm-hmm.
anything where you have to learn a skill set, you don't expect to start it today and have it mastered within 8 hours. So
Mm-hmm.
I find it very interesting that when people start a business, they don't have the same thought process. They don't have the same mindset. When you go into a job and a job tells you it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to train you, or for example, when I was dispatching, we had 6 weeks of classroom time where we had to learn type codes and learn how many officers are supposed to go to a certain call. And then from that, we had 10 weeks of on the job training where we were sitting with another dispatcher and learning how to actually listen to radio traffic, do a traffic stop, assign officers to another car that came in, watch your pending calls. Like all of that was not taught at one time. There were two specific sessions for each where we had to break down, okay, 6 weeks is just going to be just you learning type codes. And then 10 weeks would be you actually applying and learning other things. So whenever you're in training or in school, you have people to go to school after high school for another 8 to 12 years to become whatever they want in that field, or to establish their career. So when it comes to your business, why wouldn't you treat it the same? It's a different what's the word? It's a different makeup, but you can still apply the same life principles that you applied to that job that you got, that you applied to that degree that you got. All that hard work you did in college, you didn't think twice about doing all that work because you wanted that degree. So when it comes to your business, I feel like you shouldn't minimize your success by saying, okay, well, if I haven't achieved this in a year, then I'm just going to do away with it. That don't make sense, because even if it take me, hypothetically, if it took me 15 years to get where I wanted to, that 15 years is by far greater than the 40 plus years that I got to put into somebody else's.
Yes, somebody else's dream.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah. Or you have people today that are, I think my great grandfather, he retired when he was 65 before I was born. He was 70 when I was born. But he retired from a job making $5 and some change. To give you reference, my great grandfather was born in 1917. He moved from the country to the big city to get a job. And at one point, he was working 16 hours a day for 75 cents a day. Do you know I won't look at you for 75 cents, let alone work a 16-hour shift. But because of that being the times, that's what was normal. And he made what he considered good money. But today, there are people in their 80s that you see working at grocery stores, bagging groceries, greeting people, because they don't make enough money to pay their bills. So what is the alternative? Working as a senior citizen for literal pennies because you can't afford your bills? Or saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes. If it takes 5 years, if it takes 10 years, if it takes 20 years to build my dream and build that foundation and have a successful business that's in my name, that I can wheel down to my kids if they want it. You can't wheel down a job. And I, for sure, what I was doing, I would not have wheeled it down. Even if I could, I would not have wheeled it down to my children. So to put in all this time working from the time you are potentially, let's say 16, 17. My grandfather started working when he was in third grade. So
Wow.
third grade, you what, 8, 9?
About time.
From 9 years old until 65, he was working. That's a long time. So imagine people today, if you are in your 80s now, you was born in the 40s or late 30s to 40s.
If you're in your 80s, yeah, I would say in the
So
30s,
40, because
40s, because I'm not gonna date my mother.
well, I'll date my uncle. My uncle was born in 45 and he just turned 80 at the end of January. So
Okay.
I would say clearly anything before 45, you are now 80 or older. For you to still be working today in 2025, and you've been working since you were a kid, what sense does that make when you still don't own it? When you've put in all this work for somebody else, that it just doesn't make sense. But at no
That's it.
point did you minimize or did they minimize working for somebody else because they feel like this is what's necessary to pay my bills. So why not have that same thought process with your own business? People oftentimes give up on their own business because they're like, oh, this is hard, or I didn't expect this, or this is not panning out the way that I thought it would. But who said that that was the reason to give up? Because you didn't give up on that job that easily. So why give up on your business?
True. They sometimes don't have that person in their corner telling them this,
Right, right. But I
pointing it
just know
because
that that's not the natural thought process is what is very interesting to me, because it it just goes to show you how much we've been, as a society, have been brainwashed to believe in putting your blood, sweat, and tears into somebody else's dream instead of using that to create the foundation for your own dream. Or even making children feel like once you get to a certain age, you can still dream. To diminish children's dream and say, like, after you get, let's say after you get past fifth grade and someone asks you, well, what do you want to be? And you say something like an astronaut or something that they feel is really big, and they tell you, well, that's not realistic. You should basically, like, rethink that. You're already starting to diminish their dream and make them feel like they can't accomplish that. And who said they couldn't? Just because you didn't, don't mean that they can't. But I feel like that goes into, conditioning your mind. If I can make you believe that the greatest outcome you can have is you working for somebody else and you doing that until you too old to work, I've done my job.
that's tough. Because when you think about it, those 80 plus year olds, those 70 plus year olds may be working to supplement their income because of course they can't stop. They have to pay their bills. Or you can be on the side that you're 80 or 70 something year old and you're working because you own it and you just want to keep working.
Right.
I mean, it's such a, you can, either path is hard, either path has challenges,
But you
either
got to choose your.
path, yeah, you choose your heart, absolutely. And another aspect of that failing forward is, how can I, like, the sacrifices that you could be making. Like, I've made some financial sacrifices, but I've had those times where, like I said, products come in and you don't know. I didn't realize it was going to be as much as it was, because the price changed for receiving imports. That to me was a fail. Like, why didn't I know this? How did this happen? This is a little bit of a setback of that, but you learn to adjust. So you can take a failure and you can adjust from it. You can learn from it. And that may happen all throughout your business. I don't want to name names, but there are people that have gone bankrupt several times. And I'm just saying. but there's always an opportunity to rebuild or to re-establish yourself. I'm with you. I'm not sure why we think we have to quit or we have to let go. If I can see somebody else that can file bankrupt 6 or 7 times a biz from your business and you can still bounce back, then there has to be a key to it for me as well. This is not just for you. There's a key to unlock my opportunities that can bounce me back. I pray I never have to find that key, but to
Right,
know,
not that specific one.
not that specific one, no.
Right.
But yeah, so you can you can always find an avenue to keep moving your business forward. You can find new clients. If your family don't want to support you, move on from there.
Not you can, you should. If your family does not support you, find new clients because there are clients that will support you. Don't think that your family is the end all be all because oftentimes your family will not be the ones that support you. So find new clients.
Most definitely. Find avenues, find ways to reach new clients. There's so many opportunities now. There's so much you can do with social media to open up your customer base. I've learned that. I'm still learning that. Um, but that's a tool, that's a resource that maybe you didn't think about. I still get new ideas that I didn't think about 2 months ago. I get ideas I didn't think about 2 weeks ago. And I'm ready to start looking at how can we implement this in order to grow the customer base, in order to get great products into new customers' hand. And then even if you have, I think this is a great uh, point to iterate. You Even if you have great customers, loyal customers, they may not always be buying your product monthly or weekly. So you need to keep looking for ways to expand. If your business stalls, that I don't even know if I consider that a failure. It's just maybe those clients don't need anything right now, and you can reach out to newer and broader customer bases. But don't
Or
let uh-huh don't let it stop you was basically don't let having a stall stop you from your business.
okay, cut out that or.
Yeah.
Or you have you need to reevaluate how you're engaging with those clients. It might not be that they don't need anything. It might just be that you're not checking in with them to see what else they need. And so you need to then check your own customer service and see, am I really engaging with my clients to where I know what they need? Am I asking enough questions so that I can serve them properly? Because I think oftentimes people can get comfortable. And I feel like another part of failing forward that I feel is very instrumental is knowing that even if your method works today and has worked for the last 6 months, don't assume that that method is going to continue to work the entire time of your business because things are forever changing and evolving. So just because it works great right now doesn't mean 6 months later it's going to work the same or it's going to work as great. So you have to be willing to relearn some things. You have to be willing to let go of the thought process of because this worked then, it's going to keep working because that may not be the case. You may get new clients and the previous clients that it worked for, the new clients are not interested. So now you have to figure out how to pique their interest. And now you have to figure out what makes sense for them and what's going to make them more engaged. So don't ever feel like because you have a system that you feel is good, that's going to be enough. Like you have to understand that your business will forever be evolving. It'll forever be changing. And if you don't like change, you need to remove that thought process and get comfortable with change because that's just life.
Yeah.
Climate wise, I live in Texas. You know how often it's cold one week and then hot one week? Do you know? Do you know how often that happens? So even the world itself, outside the elements are changing constantly. So why would you feel like your business is not going to do the same. It just doesn't make sense.
And you make this is an excellent point, what you said a second ago. You have to relearn, or you have to learn new things. You have to relearn some things. We should always be learning and relearning new things. Like if you get that in your mind, that I'm going to have to learn new skills, or I'm going to have to unlearn some old habits, like that's going to be a huge key to being able to move a business forward. I am not in what is often considered the age bracket of change, but I'm a little bit off the beaten path, so it doesn't matter. Especially being a teacher, we're constantly having to learn and relearn and unlearn and find these new things. So I think that helps me to be able to more easily retrain my brain, or relearn, or unlearn, or learn new things. You have to get into your head that you're going to have to learn new skills. You should get it in your head that you're going to have to unlearn some skills, unlearn some thought processes, unlearn some spending habits. I'm learning that myself, because I can't what's the word? I can't run my budget. I can't run my finances the same way I did when I didn't have a business. What am I funneling into my business? What am I reinvesting into my business that would have gone somewhere else originally? That's a relearn. That's a new learn, really. So just be open to that, and be open that it's gonna sometimes fail.
Or be open to it being uncomfortable, because you're used to spending money a certain way, or being able to get what you want when you want to. And when you have a business, you have to prioritize. I think oftentimes people want to live the same life, but they want a different outcome. And realistically, that doesn't work. So I think one, I guess, key component to changing that thought process is, as you're purchasing stuff, or as you go out and do things, whether it's for entertainment or whatever, getting in the habit of asking yourself, does this get me closer to my goal or further away from my goal? Because that'll help to retrain your brain and make you more mindful of the dollars you're spending when you spend them. If you get in the habit of asking yourself, like, is this beneficial for my business, or am I just doing this because I'm bored on a Monday? If you just bored, that ain't really beneficial for you, nor your business, nor your future. So knowing that it's more hurtful or harmful than anything is a great deterrent. And it'll make you think twice, like, I don't know if I really want to go see this movie. I don't know if this makes sense. I don't know if y'all
and that's the blessing that she brings. I can't have that pep talk in the moment, because in the moment I'm gonna go get that thing. I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna be honest. So I have to have that pep talk before. I have to have that pep talk when I'm sitting down with the budget, before I even get my money in, and start looking at it. Like, okay, what can I eliminate right now? What can I move and funnel back into the business, versus what can I just spend on me? It definitely takes sacrifice. It definitely takes retraining your thought processes, and I think, like you said, being uncomfortable. I'm just gonna sit there for a moment, because being uncomfortable is nothing any of us want to do.
Right. But sacrificing,
mostly
just people in general, it's human nature to not want to be uncomfortable. But I think sacrificing what you want right now for what you want later, it makes sense. Versus if you're always sacrificing and there's never, an end goal, then naturally you're gonna feel like you're getting cheated. But if the bigger picture is, well, I'm gonna delay this for 6 months, I'm gonna delay this for a year, or I'm gonna delay this until I reach this goal, it makes reaching that goal so much sweeter, because you've intentionally delayed certain things that weren't necessary. And then once you reach the goal, milestone, whatever it is, you're like, I worked for this. I earned this. And it makes you feel like that win is just so much bigger than it would have been had you delayed it by doing what you wanted to in that moment. And then that win came so much later because you couldn't be disciplined, you know? Hopefully that makes sense. Being able to just say, me going out and shooting pool, or me going to Dave and Buster's or whatever with my friends, you know, every weekend, like that's really not necessary. Is it fun? Yes. But when I leave there, am I any closer to reaching any goals? No. And I feel like once you put it into that perspective, no, you don't have to deny every outing. You don't have to not see your family or not see your friends in order to accomplish your goals. But do you have to do it every week or every month? No, you don't. You absolutely can delay some of those things and say, okay, well, this is the goal that I'm trying to reach. And so in the meantime, I'm going to sacrifice these things. And then once I reach that goal, maybe I'll have more time to hang out with you. Who knows? You also could reach that goal and realize all the time that I delayed, I was so much more productive in that time than I would have been had I just been kicking it and laughing with y'all. But if you're not at a place, I will reiterate, if you are not at a place to where you're ready to give up those things that entertain you, that's okay. But just understand that your business will suffer because you're not ready to be focused.
Well, that's a fail. And we have, and some of us have to go through that until we start to recognize that. So we start to recognize this is not serving me. I could be doing this much more volume in my business. I could be reaching this many more people if I take that 2-3 hours on the weekend with my friends and go and do I don't know, whatever it is you might want to do a face-to-face. Go, yeah, anything. Go do sample sales. Go do reaching out to new clients, putting that energy in a different way, putting that energy in a different direction will be so much more beneficial. And I am still learning that. I mean, definitely I've improved, but it's almost like a constant process of growth. So to me, I think failure, huh?
It is.
Yeah. For me, failure is, especially failing forward, is a constant process of growth that I hope makes my business better, makes me better, and can I don't know, add to my what would I say? Me better.
Add to your success.
Thank you. Yes. add to my success. So this has been a good conversation. And we're not going to hold them any longer. We're going to wind it down. But again, failure is not bad. Failing is not the end. It doesn't have to signal the end of your business. It can signal an area of growth. It can signal an area that you need to be retrained in a different way. It can signal an area that you need to unlearn. So take those moments of what feels like failure and put them to good use. That's how we are going to fail forward. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope you are joining the conversation. I hope you are getting something out of it and putting it into practice. I'm a teacher, as you know, so I love to see someone take something and put it into practice, because you can only have a good outcome if you start changing the way that you approach your business. And on that note, I'm going to give it to Miss Gabrielle.
And I feel like what goes hand in hand with what you said, most people hear the quote that knowledge is power. Knowledge is only power when applied. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're not using it, what good is it doing you? So, with that being said, if you enjoyed our conversation, found any of this helpful, know anyone that this could help, definitely like, comment, share, and subscribe. We are here every Monday, and we are going to change lives all 2025 because the things that we talk about is stuff that people need to know. It's stuff that people need to hear, and they need to understand that even though we don't know you personally, we still support you and can help you in your journey. So with that, we'll see you next week. And see. That's for sure my
Right.
favorite part. My favorite part.
Bravo. Okay, let me stop this.